So when we start to assess our ankle range of motion when we set up our squat, our basic tenet is even tripod, even pressure heel, the base of the big toe and the base of the little toe as you go back and forth. So whenever we're testing to see how much ankle motion we have as far forward as we can go, any deviation as the arch would fold in or out or the heels start to lift up pretty much tells us this is about as far as this can go before we're going to start to get a deviation. When it gets into kind of the biggest fault with more of our squat form is our knee valgus position. Whenever we have that even pressure with the arch as we go forward, as we advance forward, the knee should be tracking with the foot. If we were to start to get that deviation one way or the other, we're going to start to get typically more of a valgus collapse. Some people will have a little bit of a varus tracking, but it's not quite as common. So as we go forward, as we run out of the ankle motion, if we start to get that heel lift, we're typically going to get a collapse into pronation, a collapsing of the foot, which allows us to get the knee a little bit more forward, but it's going to give a cost of throwing off the rotation at the knee, and the hinge does not like to work that way. So when we want to see how much ankle motion we have, and for a lot of athletic activity, ideally we want to see the knee about 2 to 4 inches in front of the foot before we see any large deviation in the arch or the heel popping up. So one of the easiest ways for us to track this is we can either do this in standing or in a half kneeling position. So we have our tripod on our foot set, make sure everything is down. One of the easiest ways to check to make sure this part is down is just pick up the tip of the big toe to make sure we have it. So what we do is we're just in this position, we're just going to have a lunge forward, and as soon as we feel like the arch collapse or the heel start to lift up, at that point we're just going to drop a plumb line down from the tip of the knee to see how far in front of the toe are we as soon as we feel that start to tap out and deviate. So if we feel that like it's either before the toe or getting in front of that, whenever we go down to a squat, as soon as our knee starts to hit that point, we're going to start to get either a heel lift, which is going to change our balance between the anterior and posterior chains of the thigh and the lower extremity, or as we start to get that and we start to get a little collapse inwards or outwards of the foot, we're going to throw off our knee tracking. So this is going to tell us whether we can do a true barefoot squat and really get a good deep advancement, or if we might actually need a little bit of a heeled shoe or a little bit of help to make that a good motion. So with the front shot from that would be as I go forwards, I'm going to see everything's doing great until, let's say, I start to have my heel lift and I start to deviate inwards. As soon as I start to see any collapse with this arch one way or the other, or that start to pop up, I'm going to call that as that's the limit of my rotation. Drop down, see how far I'm in front. And from there, if we can correct it through some of our mobility drills and gain maybe a little extra foot stability too to help hold that together, that would be great. Otherwise, if we can't correct it, we're going to switch to our accommodative strategy, which is going to be either a heeled shoe, maybe a little extra lift in a really severe case, or some additional devices, maybe an orthotic type thing to try and fill the gap with some of the deviation causing foot abnormalities that might arise to cause some of those problems.